So I just learned tonight from the Minister of Health in Gaza, Dr. Youssef Abrish, that what they did to the families who could not find their killed ones, their martyrs, after the Al-Tabin school massacre, they would collect parts, body parts, and if the missing person was a child, they would weight about 15 kilos of body parts and place it in a bag, in a plastic bag, and a body bag. If it was an adult missing, they would collect around 70 kilos of decomposed or... This is another brutal massacre in the long, long row of attacks on civilians. The Israeli occupation forces have falsely claimed and pictured people, say where in the school and the refugee camp. This has been rebuffed by the resistance, and even if there were a number of resistance fighters among the 2,000 refugees, the Geneva Convention is crystal clear. It's the precaution, proportionality, and distinction principles. If a military target is a mixed military-civilian target, the civilian protection takes priority over the military gain. And even if there were some militants in that school, they would not have legal cover to bomb it with 4,000 kilos of explosives with precise missiles and killing more than 100 innocent civilians.
مين استشهد لك يا مرام؟
أبويا وعمي وخالي وبن خالي وبن عمي، كلهم كنا معتبرينهم إخوة إلنا سند ظهر بعد أخويا اللي استشهد أول الحرب. كنا زي إخوتنا سند إلنا، كنا ظهر وكسروا لنا ظهرنا، والله كسروا لنا ظهرنا برعتهم. بحكي يا رب إذا بده يصير إشي لواحد فينا نروح كلنا مع بعض، ولا واحد يتحسر على التاني، لأنه بكفي. أكم شهيد راح لنا من أول الحرب، أكم شهيد راح لنا من اللي بنعرفهم، أكم سند إلنا راح، كلهم راحوا ولا حدا ضللنا. حسبي الله عليهم اليهود والعرب، قال ببعثوا لنا دعم، قال طب ما احنا بدناش دعمهم ولا بدنا اشي، بس بدنا يوقفوا لنا الحرب هذه، ولا حدا يعني بدناش اشي، والله ما بدنا اشي، لا بدنا ناكل ولا بدنا نشرب، ويوقفوا لنا الحرب بكفي. كلهم راحوا من عنا، يعني في الجنة ضل حدا.
We're inside the Al-Tabin school prayer room in the aftermath of the massacre perpetrated by the Israeli forces against innocent civilians who were simply offering dawn prayers. More than 100 Palestinians were killed and dozens more were injured. The school, where hundreds of Palestinians were sheltering, was targeted and hit by a number of missiles fired from Israeli warplanes. The extent of the damage is clearly visible. Blood splatters on the floor, pieces of cloth, even body parts, and people are still looking for the remains of their relatives.
I came running to search for my family. My father was killed and my brother's legs were both severed. I am proud my father and brother died as martyrs.
I am now on the upper level of the mosque. It was also targeted by an Israeli warplane. You can see the hole where the missile penetrated the roof on the lower level. Dozens of women were praying on the lower level and were killed and injured. These are some of the parts of the missiles fired from Israeli jets on innocent displaced civilians sheltering here in the school. Despite the danger, many families have returned to the school and the fact they have nowhere else to go.
My son is suffering from lung fibrosis. We hardly survived the attack. I carried my son and ran for our lives. By the time I got down, I saw hundreds of dead bodies, blown to pieces, even scattered outside the school building, body organs stuck on the walls. Horrific scenes, beyond description, beyond reason. We have nowhere to go, so we returned to the school. where the most basic necessities of life are totally absent.
This is the scene at the Al-Tabeen school, where displaced Palestinians were sheltering and the Israeli military committed this massacre.
This is Bisan, and these are some updates about yesterday's massacre, the worshippers' massacre. So the civil defense did not find any completed body, no completed bodies. For more than 100 people are killed. Even burnt bodies they did not find. So they had to do this. They gathered human pieces in bags, in plastic bags, and since the average weight for a normal human is 70 kilograms, let us say, they gathered every 70 kilograms in one plastic bag and handle the bag to the relatives or to the family who are still alive. And for children, they gathered between 30 to 35 kilograms of human pieces in each bag, so they handle it also to the mothers, fathers, or the relatives. But despite this, they did not find enough human pieces. This is simply because of the new weapon that the Israeli army used to commit this massacre. The army dropped 3 bombs. Each bomb weighed more than 2,000 pounds. So that's 6,000 pounds over a closed and a small place and crowded place. And the heat of the explosion was more than 7,000 Celsius degrees. So the human bodies and pieces melted. If this is not a Holocaust, if this is not a genocide, then please tell me what. Please tell me what. I'm just waiting for any answers. This is the first update. The second one is that the Israeli army is trying all the time to mislead you and to tell you that these shelters, these mosques, these schools are used by Hamas. And this time, I mean, they said that after the bombing of schools in Sirat, the bombing of schools in Deir al-Balah, and much more. But this time, they did not lie in a perfect way. They missed something, because they provided a list telling that these are the Hamas members who were killed in that bomb and bombing or targeting of this mosque, of the worshippers' Al-Fajr prayer. Then appeared that they've published the same names before. So these people, the listed people, were killed aslan before in another massacre. And then the resistance groups and Hamas and all the political parties in Palestine announced that no fighters, no resistance fighters are between civilians or among civilians. Okay, they were told to be away from any civilian place, civilian shelter, so the Israelis don't have an excuse to kill the civilians. They are lying. The third update is that the Security Council is holding a meeting today to talk about this massacre. But we know, I know, and you know that they will not do anything, because these massacres are ongoing for 10 months. I mean, started with Al-Ma'madani massacre, killing more than 500 people, to Khan Yunis al-Mawasi massacre, to Sirat massacre, and other massacres. So they will not do anything. You need to stop Israel. You need to boycott Israel. You need to tell Israel that it is a genocidal state that needs to get out of Palestine, because it's an occupation. That's it.